Hey, Wrestling World, keep up with the culture and listen to this episode in full on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Make sure to give us a follow on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook and fall under the influence.
So, for those of you who are watching Cultural Influence, this is the segment in the podcast where we go over the hottest stories in all of wrestling in the form of a hot tag. So, like you said, Richie, the last 24 hours in all of wrestling has been going crazy. And I think one of the biggest news right now is, I think we've talked about free agency in wrestling. And I think by far the biggest free agent right now is Okada. And I think we got a good idea of where his potential free agency destination is.
Man. Yeah, first of all, I did not expect Okada to set it off the way that he has with his free agency.
He did.
I was kind of under the belief that, he's either going to stay home or, go straight to AEW. You know what I'm saying? Because it's easy to keep those relationships as you've already wrestled there. And him and Daniel Bryan have an incredible trilogy already going on and everything. So, that would obviously make sense, right?
Yeah.
But apparently Okada's thrown the entire wrestling world for a spin and been like,
Gotcha, bitch.
I'm actually thinking about going to WWE. So naturally, the entire internet's idea is to just flip their shit over it. So, Ray, what are your initial thoughts about Okada potentially going to WWE?
Man, WWE Bound. As I'm pretty sure everyone's probably seen the report. He's more than likely WWE Bound. I think it's a good time, as we've seen with big Japanese stars cross over into WWE. There's no real formula that WWE has really developed. But I will say they've gotten better because starting with Hideo Itami, aka Kenta.
Yeah, it's progressively gotten better.
It's progressively gotten better. And Shinsuke Nakamura, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to sit there and consider his run a failure. But I mean, Okada, you got a guy who's in his mid-30s and stuff like that and has expressed big interest. And, I don't think WWE has expressed interest that they've wanted him. And so it would only make sense for WWE to utilize this guy, right? Because, as they've said in the past, they've wanted him. And I'm not going to throw all this money at this guy if I'm WWE and not have big plans for him.
Yeah, definitely. A guy like Okada, I've always wanted to see his entrance at WrestleMania.
Oh,
What I'm saying?
Definitely.
The Rainmaker entrance with all the pomp and circumstance and the pageantry and the money raining from the ceiling.
The robe, man. It says WWE, man.
It does. And I would love to see them put him in the best presentation. And obviously, there's nobody in the wrestling world that can do presentation like WWE. And so seeing Okada in that grand style would be amazing. But as with everything that comes to WWE, the main thing you worry about is what? Booking. And so I don't know. I feel like Okada coming from a place that doesn't have weekly television might be a bit of a struggle to keep a guy that's so special feeling special on a weekly basis.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
And I don't know if I trust WWE to handle him with like that.
Yeah, on weekly television. I didn't think about that. Yeah, man. Yeah, because it's hard to kind of make a presentation like Okada special week to week to week to week to week to week to week. Yeah.
He's definitely a special attraction type wrestler. But as for people that come from overseas, it don't get no bigger than Okada.
Yeah, I just wonder, how do Japanese fans or Japanese wrestling fans feel about us American fans? You know what I'm saying? Because, in the last years, we've snatched Shinsuke, we've snatched Kenta, didn't do nothing with Kenta. We took AJ away from them and stuff like that.
Don't forget EO.
We took EO, we took
Kyrie,
Asuka.
Yeah. But then don't even look at WWE side. You got to look at the AEW side. AEW's formation legit took Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Hangman Adam Page, and now people like Ospreay,
Jay White,
So.
Yeah, I just wonder if Japanese fans aren't too much of a fan of us. Because if I'm on WWE, right, and could you imagine John Cena just leaving us and going to WWE, or let's go further, The Rock just leaving us and going to New Japan, you know what I'm saying? Roman.
It happens, every so often you have these mass exodus or releases if you're WWE, and people they just go their separate ways, But the thing about New Japan, though, they have a really great farming system. We talked about this before with the developmental system. They have a bunch of new young lions coming up. They have a lot of potential. And they have basically a new set of 4 pillars that are coming up. Shota just announced himself as the new ace of Japan,
I've heard of Shota.
I want to say Yuja, I said his name wrong. I don't follow New Japan like that, guys, but they have a great set of guys that are coming up underneath the Okadas, underneath the Ibushis, underneath the Naitos. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I think
Finn Balor had a little umbrella of talent come out from under him.
I feel like New Japan's future is in very good hands. You know, and I think Tanahashi has good ideas, and so with a new wave or age of coming into New Japan, the old got to go somewhere, right?
Yeah, it do, man. It do. So apparently NXT, the initial plan is that they want to start him in NXT. I'm taking that with a big grain of salt.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, imagine telling what a lot of people already consider to be the best wrestler in the world, he needs to go to developmental.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah. So you don't think that's happening? You don't think that's a possibility?
I don't know. And if he does go, that just means how bad he wants to be there.
And just another thing is, like, if he goes to NXT, I think NXT right now has built so much on the identity of breaking away from what they were in the early 2010s. You know what I'm saying? Where they had Finn Balor. It was just a super indie show. Yeah. And I feel like if Okada was to go there, it would just kind of be that identity that they have now just kind of breaks away, because Okada, let's just be honest, Okada is selling out anything that he's on in NXT.
Oh, definitely.
The NXT shows are literally going to have to be booked in bigger arenas. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. But I also, I just feel like Okada going to NXT is, I don't want to say a waste, because there's a guy like Okada, I don't want to see him go wrestle Braun Breaker. I don't want to see Okada versus Carmelo Hayes. I don't want to see Okada versus Ilya. Actually,
yeah, think about that. You might want to think about.
I would love to see Okada versus Ilya Dragunov, but I don't know whether.
I'm ready to see Okada versus Gunther before I see any of that.
You know
stuff.
what I'm saying? There's matches on the main roster that I absolutely.
I just got hot saying that.
Yeah, outside of Ilya, there's really nobody in NXT I want to see him wrestle. So, I mean, I would like to have him go there to show up and be like, yo, what up? You know, like CM Punk did or something.
Yeah.
But a guy like Okada, you know, maybe have him train at the Performance Center if you want to get him accustomed to the WWE style.
Yeah.
But don't waste that man on CW.
Yeah, true.
That's where they're going, right?
True,
Imagine that. But with all of this stuff that's going on, you know, with WWE having Cody on another level, CM Punk, Roman, Seth Rollins, and then the potential of an Okada, like what is even going on in wrestling right now, bro?
It is, man. And like with those names you just mentioned, all I can think of is Dream Match galore with Okada in there, man.
Dream Match galore.
Yeah, and shout out to Okada for giving us the Bryan Danielson trilogy, man.
Yeah.
That's great.
I mean, beyond all that, he gave us the Omega trilogy. Like I said, this man is already considered a living legend where he's coming from. So everything that he's doing here at this point is side quests.
Uh-oh.
You know
there
what
you
I'm
go,
saying?
using my lingo. Yeah.
You know, hey,
sure.
Listen, when it work, it work.
Yeah. Raw to Netflix, you know, like WWE, you know, was cooking over the night, over the last 24 hours, and Raw is going to Netflix. Richie, man, what is your take on that?
I'm gonna have to stop borrowing my sister-in-law's Netflix, man. Damn, bro.
Same.
I'm gonna have to get my own Netflix account now. So I can make sure that my wrestling isn't at risk.
You know what's funny? I actually borrowed my brother-in-law's Netflix.
Yeah, no, I've been using my sister-in-law's Netflix for I don't know, just forever. You know what I'm saying? I've never had my own Netflix account. So it looks like in 2025 I'm going to have to be. But back to the main story. What was it 5 years or 10 years? 10 years for $5 billion.
That's a bag, bro.
Like, people are like, oh, they didn't put them off of TNT or Warner Brothers. Like, bro, forget all that. They got $5 billion for their stuff to go to the world's largest and most successful streaming service. You know, now it's going to take some use getting to. I'm not really sure how well Netflix does with live streaming and everything. I remember a couple of years back, it was the the Love is Blind reunion that was supposed to be live, and they had a big terrible thing because their servers couldn't handle live TV. So imagine, you know, the million plus people that are going to come in to watch Raw every week. Hopefully, you know, they'll be ready for that, right?
Yeah. Now, I was wondering about that, like, because Netflix doesn't have a live presence, does it? Or does it now?
Like I just said, they do it every now and then.
Okay.
The last time I tried to watch Netflix live, it was a total disaster.
Okay.
You know, but the fact that they, you know, are foraying into it means that they're ready to, you know, take it on. And them signing, you know,
$5 billion, yeah.
Them signing the longest running episodic weekly television show of all time lets me know that they might be ready to do this. So,
yeah.
So, a few details about the Netflix deal. Apparently, in the 10-year deal, after the first 5, they have the option to cancel. Okay? And they also have the option to expand.
Okay.
So this deal can be anywhere from 5 to 20 years, depending on how Netflix is feeling about the partnership.
Wow. Yeah. Jesus Christ,
Yeah, but I get it, though. For $5 billion, you definitely going to be under an evaluation period. You know
oh, yeah. Yeah. And, I mean, TKO, just think about how much of a win that is for them, my dude.
Yeah.
We just signed for $5 billion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's one hell of a cash out. They took their risk, and they're definitely making some money on top of it.
Yeah. But, man, pretty much in my 18-plus years of fandom, I've always watched Monday Night Raw on the USA Network, and next year is really going to mark the end of an era for me. But one thing I want to say is, one thing I've learned about being in media, and I've learned about WWE, is you always got to be one step ahead of the game.
For sure.
In business and in media altogether, because let's just be real, television is slowly dying. And I think WWE has been practicing, what is the next step before going out of television. Right. And I think we've seen that with the Mixed Match Challenge. We've seen that with the launch of the WWE Network.
They were one of the first people to have their own network. They were so ahead of the game.
And this is in 2014, bro.
Yeah.
The WWE Network launched 10 years ago this year, bro.
Yeah, I mean, WWE doesn't really get the credit they deserve for really being ahead of the curve, like you said on a lot of these things, because they saw that trend coming and jumped on it. So I think them getting on Netflix is right on brand for them being, ahead of the game, man.
Yeah, man, because, it won't be long. Television is... Pun intended.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that's just a prime example that WWE is always ahead of the game. And in media, you got to be ahead of the game, which is why Cultural Influence will be streaming pretty soon. It will be a live thing. But one of the people that was behind this big WWE to Netflix deal, I'm thinking, is apparently the new board of director. And I'm pretty sure he had a lot to say. Well, he has a lot to say, which is some old man named Rock the Dwayne Johnson.
Boy. Let me tell you something about my childhood. My childhood growing up as a young boy watching the Attitude Era, you would have never told me that within the next 25 years that this wrestling company would be ran by Triple H. The developmental would be run by Shawn Michaels. And at the head of the board of directors would be The Rock.
Yeah, man.
And also that they freaking merged with UFC.
Yeah.
But the fact that some of the greatest wrestlers of all time are now in charge of the biggest wrestling company in the world is wild to me.
It is. It is.
And I feel like we were slowly kind of moving towards that way, because The Rock makes power moves in the quiet shadows of the entertainment industry.
Most definitely. Yeah.
The Rock is always making power moves, whether it be, buying the XFL and merging it with the USFL. And now we have the UFL. And, Rock is going to make it happen. And so I just feel like he has an idea and a vision and connections that can take wrestling to the next level. And I feel like they have people at the helm of WWE that will allow him to do that,
Yeah. I think allowance is by far the key thing that's going to go down, because, a lot of people are signed as board of directors just for face value.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm pretty sure there's board of directors that we don't know anything about, but they are one of the top head honchos in deciding the direction in which the company goes. Right. And my question is, what is Rock? Is Rock just a face guy? Or, you know what I'm saying? Or is he one of those guys that you just brought up his resume where my work speaks for itself?
Yeah. I feel like Rock is more of a results type of guy. I don't think they would have brought him on if he didn't have anything to offer outside of a face.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you wanted just a face, you could have anybody in WWE. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just have a portion of it. Yeah.
Yeah, But so I just feel like The Rock is a guy that's gonna see a vision and see it through. He's very proactive. You know what I'm saying?
I like that.
And he's all about results. So I just feel like we're entering this new era of WWE, and it's very uncertain, but it looks promising. Because when Vince McMahon ran WWE, you never really had to worry about it.
Yeah, you didn't. Yeah.
That's why whenever WWE was doing bad, you felt like it was because Vince was doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it's like one of those things where WWE, if WWE was doing bad, you once again did nerves, because you wouldn't worry, because there'd be a time that it's gonna come back to normal. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna come back.
Yeah. And so now that the company isn't being handicapped by one man's whims or desires, it's gonna be really, very interesting to see where such a large company is going to go now, because there's so much money and revenue tapped into this company. You know, we were here looking at $1 billion for SmackDown 5 years ago, and now here we are looking at $5 billion for Raw. Like,
yeah, man,
bro, crazy.
They had to go chase a bag.
They keep getting bigger and bigger. You know what I'm saying? And depending on and never. And regardless of what everybody says about the booking or however you feel about this company, they can't lose, man. It's just weird.
Yeah.
One thing I will say about as far as The Rock and everything they got going on is with them removing Raw from, you know, like the Nielsen ratings era and all that stuff. The main metrics will be what those board of directors or, you know, the people in suits think.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I'm very iffy on that because the wrestling audience is, you know, a bit fickle.
We are fickle.
You know, there are a lot of people that, you know, if they don't like what's going on with the company, they're just simply not going to watch. We've seen that multiple times with every wrestling company, you know? And so, I don't know. It kind of worries me what happens if the viewership is not up to snuff for them. You know,
yeah, and I mean we've seen that cases in streaming services alone, winning time. But you know, and I'm gonna give a little foreshadowing. I don't see WWE being on Netflix for 10 years. You don't?
I don't.
Really? Why you say that?
I don't. 10 years is just a really, really long time, especially in television time and in media content time.
Yeah, it is. Like,
everything can change drastically in 5 years. So you mean to tell me that they have the option to keep you from anywhere between 5 and 20 years?
I mean, if WWE's been on Raw, been on the USA Network, literally during my whole fandom, I don't think what makes it different from Netflix. If we're kind of seeing that Netflix became the new helm of television.
Netflix has lost money a lot over the last couple years. They've been losing subscribers. They aren't really in good favor with the you know, masses like they used to be.
Yeah.
You know, they're still the largest one, but they don't really have as much goodwill as they used to. You know, and anything can happen within 5 to 10 years, especially with these big companies. You know, they bleed money, they make money, and I don't know. I just don't feel like them being there for 10 years is a lot.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I hope so. I hope they get all the money. I hope all the success in the world, but I don't know. We live in wild times, you know.
Well, my foreshadowing is this, to kind of piggyback on what you're saying on that whole deal, is I don't want WWE to be a product that they're just being sold to all these media companies, because as we're seeing with the Peacock deal and we're seeing with the Netflix deal, like how long is it going to be before WWE becomes find themselves in a point to where, man, all we're doing is just selling our content to various networks and stuff like that, and all these networks don't really want nothing to do with us, so it's kind of like
they cashing out.
Yeah, I'm just saying though, man. Like, if your goal as a company is obviously to be on top of the wrestling world forever, you know what I'm saying? These little places that you find yourself in for 5 or 10 years, it's only so much. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, of course, if they won't be on Netflix for 5 years, after their little 5-year deal go out with Netflix, Hulu, all right, Hulu. Then where else? You know what I'm saying? Then Paramount and stuff, and then it's gonna kind of become that point to where WWE is gonna be like that chick that everybody done banged.
I feel like at some point they're gonna have to bring back the WWE Network.
Yeah,
I do feel like that's gonna have to be a thing. I think what happened with the WWE Network is that it cost a lot of money to maintain.
It did.
You know, you have to keep
that was great.
Up. Yeah. It was one of the best streaming apps I've really had, and I feel like we kind of took it for granted as fans. You know,
we did. All of you fans on the other side of the world, enjoy the WWE Network, man.
Facts, bro. And
but guys, that's it on this segment of Hot Tags. Make sure you guys tune in, watch this episode, and watch the previous episode. You know, season 3 of Cultural Influence. We got 2 episodes already out, so fall under the influence.